Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
All right.
Bill, what number is it today?
100.
That's a
100.
big number.
Naomi, how's it feel to be 100?
I've been 100 for a long, long time. Anyway,
Whoa.
$100 bill.
Them are profound words.
Hey, a $100 bill on the 100th episode. That's cool.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Naomi, what don't we have today?
We both know the answer to that.
Go ahead, Pete.
He did try to substitute the music
Go ahead,
for one
Pete.
of his students.
Go ahead, give it to us
Well,
real quick.
I have nothing to say.
You have nothing to say. You're just
No.
going to let it be.
Yep.
It's just not here.
Yep.
No wall peeling,
Nope.
glass breaking, piercing rock star music for the header of our show.
Nope. I got a lawn instead.
You got a lawn instead.
Lawn.
So you're not going to try to use the excuse that you're doing real estate instead of guitars, are
Well,
you?
that's not an excuse. That's the truth.
It is?
I looked the other day like, I'm doing this more than that.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm trying to get more there. So my little music stuff takes a back seat. I run home, do some lessons, get my money, and run the other way.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, you know.
Okay.
Plus, he wanted to be kind. He didn't want to break people's glass and split people's ears.
Naomi, look at the stripes on his arms. Huh?
What?
He's got rank now.
He's got what?
Rank.
Oh, what? Yeah.
His shirt actually does have a little bit of striping.
I'm looking at my
going on.
stripe. Yeah, what are you talking about?
But anyway, so what's on the itinerary?
Episode number 100. That's a lot of shows, Peter.
It's a lot of shows.
You've been with me right from day one, and then
Yeah.
we should check and see how many shows you've been here, Naomi. It's been a few. So anyways, the title of today's show is The Most Important 30 Minutes of Every Pretty House Deal You Do. What do you think? Dun, dun, dun.
This is
important 30
so
minutes.
intriguing.
Yes.
What's the most important 30 minutes? Can
What
we
it-
knock it out in 30 minutes? What the most important 30 minutes is?
Yeah, more like 60 minutes, and I'm worried about
Why don't you
that.
just run it live?
Yeah.
Role play it in 30 minutes and we'll have
Yeah,
it.
There you go.
We'll go off early for like lobster lunch.
Exactly. Lobster lunch. Wow.
Wooden
Salmon.
tap. Wooden tap.
Salmon. She
Lobster
doesn't eat
specials
Anyway,
for the
so-
summer.
The
Moving
most
on.
important 30 minutes of every pretty house deal you do. What easily learned task can make you thousands of dollars an hour in the real estate investing industry? Listen to this podcast and you will reveal. I numbered them. 1. What is the highest and best use of your time as an investor? 2. The exact step of investing that is the most challenging yet the most rewarding. 3. The precise moment to make or break a deal. 3. Why this 30 minutes is called the linchpin of the pretty house business. How am I doing?
Got me on the edge of my seat. Continue on.
I'm listening.
4. 3 steps to do that have been tested and proven to close deals. And I was going to write more, but I figured I'd just stop there.
No, that's enough.
We have
If we-
60 minutes.
Geez, one of those would be good for a show.
Which one?
Any one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, and seriously, like those are all like, what's the answer? What's the answer?
Okay.
I'm not even sure what the answer is, and I've been here for 100 episodes. Plus 13.
Plus 13.
Plus 13.
What 13?
I don't know if I'd
The
admit
radio.
that, Pete.
Oh, the radio show. Yeah, we did the radio show before we did. Yeah, so it's we're actually on
I
113
don't know
shows.
if I'd admit that if I was him.
Yeah.
But
Well, he just
they're
did.
not recorded. You can't find them.
That means he's somewhere else when he's here. Where are you, Pete?
Would you believe that first show we were nervous? Like, oh, how's this going to work?
Oh my God, we wrote notes for 10 days, 2 weeks on how the show was going to go. Yeah. Anyways, those are the old days.
You're gadgeted.
Yeah, exactly. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about what is a pretty house deal. Right? You want to take a stab at it, Naomi?
Sure, a pretty house deal is a house that doesn't need the renovation. It's
Right.
ready to go.
Right. But it's also, and I noticed this the other day talking to somebody else, it's also slang for you and I.
It
For
is.
what?
It's slang for us in
So
the
maybe
office.
maybe other people don't know what we mean when we say
Yeah, so
pretty
when we
house.
talk
Oh.
about pretty house, we're
Yeah.
usually talking about a house that somebody's willing to receive payments, usually for their expenses, until we can pay them off later.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't call them a pretty house because they're pretty. We call them that because we know in the office that if it's an ugly house and we have to spend money on the property, we have to have the deed in our name.
Mm-hmm.
So really, to us, a pretty house is a house we're not getting the deed to, but yet we control it.
Exactly.
Right.
It simply means we don't have to put money into it to improve it. We don't have to put a new roof on it. We don't have to, all this renovation. It's ready to go.
And because we don't have to put money into it, we can control it with $100 deposit.
Correct.
Right. Or in some cases $10, but we use $100.
Correct.
But it's also a house that has a problem with the person has a problem. It's not a house that they're just going to put it on with a realtor, sell it, and they're happy with that. They're going to go off. They don't want to do that. They can't do that. There's some problem there that we can help them with.
So valid point. So we know that with a pretty house, like we just said, somebody's going to take monthly payments until we can pay them off later. But the three things, and this is unspoken when we use the word pretty house, this is unspoken, I think, amongst us.
It implies a lot.
Yeah, it implies
Yeah, it
a lot.
does. There's a lot packed into the house.
So it implies like I said, they're willing to take payments, usually to pay their expenses until we can pay them off. Okay. 2, they don't want all their cash now, right? Or they're willing to wait for their cash. And 3, they want the most amount of money possible for the house. That usually is disguised as, I don't want to pay fees. So when they say they don't want to pay fees, they want the most amount of money for their house.
Right.
Now, sometimes it's because they owe too much.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's just pure greed glands.
Pure greed. We've ran into both.
No names mentioned.
Yeah. well,
Usually
actually,
the pure greed glands, though, they're not so workable.
that's right.
I want $500,000 for this $300,000 house.
Well,
They're
that's what
like
Peter's
not-
talking about right now. We
Yeah.
have a deal that we made an offer yesterday that way,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Nice.
it's a
Not
200
very flexible. Very
Yeah.
greedy.
It's a $280,000 house that needs $40,000 worth of renovations, and they don't need the renovations are not renovations. It's updated maintenance,
Sure.
right? So the house is dated, but it's
Right.
very livable.
It's clean. The basement, the attic,
Yeah.
the garage. There's like one thing here, one thing there, clean. Like empty. Like, oh my God.
right.
Yeah.
Don't see that often.
So we comped it at 280 if it was pretty, right? So the offer we made him, which we're not going to discuss today, but the offer we made him 3 offers, which we call the comparable offers.
Right.
Is we pay him 280.
Yeah.
We pay him $500 a month because he didn't want any money. He didn't want any money per month. So we're going to pay him $500 a month for principal reduction, okay? And we're going to pay the taxes and the insurance for payments. So our payment will be around $1,200 a month, okay? And then all I did was I just changed the term. So I said to him, well, all 3 offers have the same monthly payment. If you're willing to take 280, we'll go 3-year term. If you want 300, we'll go 7-year term. And if you want, he's asking 340. If you want 340, no problem. We'll take 15 years. Reason why you do that is because you need to have time to pay down the liability and let the equity catch up.
Right. Because it's over the market rate.
Right. So that's the reason why we're paying him
Yeah.
$500 a month, is so that we can pay down the liability, or the debt, and let the equity catch up.
Exactly.
And that's why we don't take that house with no payments, because
Exactly.
you won't be able to sell it on the other end. Okay. But that's a classic case, which, by the way, if you get my emails, if you're not on my email list, you should be, because I talk about these things in the email list. I do all the math and everything. This week I did that whole deal like several times and showed everybody the math, where I actually showed we paid $300,000, sold for $300,000, and we made $93,000 in 5 years. And it's because the money's in the money. So when we're talking about pretty houses, you and I,
Right.
that's what we're talking about. We're talking about those deals. So for us, it's slang. Okay, it's not a particular deal. And I realized that the other day, because we kind of go in and out of it when we're talking about it to students or people that don't
Right.
understand the business, that it's slang for us. The real definition, like you said, is a house that doesn't need repairs. But for us, it means a terms deal,
Right.
or a terms purchase, which is where somebody's willing to take payments until we can pay them off. Which, by the way, how do we pay them off?
Every month.
With the buyer's
Principal
money.
yeah.
We don't have to go get
Right.
a loan.
We don't have to get hard money. We don't have
Right.
to go get private money. We just
Find the
arrange
right
it.
buyer.
Yeah.
And we tell the buyer, you need to make these monthly payments.
Mm-hmm.
You can live in the house, but you need to make these monthly payments until you can get qualified for a mortgage, and then we take the buyer's money to pay off the seller,
Exactly.
which is the reason why I promote and put a whole course together called Buying Real Estate Without a Loan. That's the secret. Okay, is we're using the buyer's money to actually pay it off.
Exactly.
So you don't need to have money.
Right. Ultimately, you always are, but sometimes you have to put money in.
Right.
Or it's a sale that goes with the realtor really, really fast bang, but this one's stretched out, so there's
Right.
money going back and forth. And right in the middle, you're making money, but helping both ends.
Thus, the reason why Ron LeGrand came up with such a beautiful language, transaction engineer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ron LeGrand came up with that. So
Yeah.
you're being a transaction engineer.
Yeah.
You're engineering the transactions so that everybody wins.
Yeah. This guy can't sell the house any other way.
Not usually.
No, this guy, I think he's pretty
The guy we're
Our
talking
guy,
our deal, yeah.
No, he's pretty stuck.
Yeah,
I mean, I talked to him last year, like, I don't know, August, September. He called me a month ago. For 6 months later, ready to talk. And I didn't call him back. I said, yeah. And then he called me again. And he keeps calling. So he
Is
needs
that
our
one
help.
guy that we all went up to see? Different
No.
guy. Okay.
No, it got to be, no,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that
Not that
is-
guy.
Self-made.
That-
He'll call me in another 3 months.
Yeah, probably.
They're delusional, some
Yeah,
of
they're
these people.
delusional.
Okay, so
delusional. Yeah.
that's what we consider to be a pretty house.
Yes.
So when the title says most important 30 minutes in every pretty house deal you do, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about these deals where we can purchase them, and it's actually not a purchase. We can control them with
Right.
an option agreement and a $100 deposit, and then go sell that option to somebody else.
Right. It's
Okay.
like releasing it, and then with the authority to sublet it.
Yeah. The most common way to explain it is it's a rent to own.
Yes.
We're buying on rent to own, selling on rent to own, and that's what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Okay. And when you do that, you don't need to have a lot of capital. You can do as many houses as you can. Like, it really depends on the things that we're going to talk about today, which is the purpose of today's show. Is how do you do 1 or 2 or 3 of these a month, or how do you do 5 a year? Whatever you want. The good thing about this system that we're going to talk about today is it's like your car. You want to go faster, you push the gas pedal. You want to go slower, you let up. You want to stop, you hit the brake. It's just that simple, this system. Okay? Good.
It's like being the boss.
Yeah, imagine
It is
that.
being the boss.
Actually having a business and having you running the business instead of the business running you.
Mary and
Right.
I went to do some shopping for bathroom and kitchen the other day for the renovation. And when it took a little while, says, you want to go for eat? So we went and tap. We're sitting around eating. Says, isn't this nice, honey? Being self-employed. We're sitting around. Yeah, we'll go back home and do some work. But it was nice.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
what's the next step?
So, that's my phone ringing in the background. So the next step is I want to talk about how we do it, which is really Brian and Lynette Wolf is the ones that started this. So I don't take credit for all this stuff. I didn't invent this stuff. The part that makes me unique is I like to make everything simple and easy. So, and make the runway for my students short. So when you get to doing this, you don't have to go through all the shaft like I had to figure out
Right.
what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, and the sequence of steps.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Because we look at this as a pile on,
Right.
on a table. It's worked out to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right. And we're not going to cover it today. We actually covered it last week, actually 2 weeks ago on episode number 98, 7 ways to buy houses that realtors hate and sellers love. Okay. We talked about it there, but my uniqueness is the formulas I came up with on which offer to give a person based on the math. Right. So
Exactly.
depending on what they owe and what they're asking or what they're willing to sell for, there's a mathematical procedure so you know exactly what offer to give and when. Okay. And that's my claim to fame to the industry.
It takes the confusion right out of it.
Yeah. Once you
Right out
understand
of
the
it.
7 deals and the math, it makes it very simple.
Yep.
Yeah.
Huge
Okay,
difference.
So today we're talking about pretty houses and how to do them. So what we do, and we are sometimes very good at it and sometimes we're not very good at it. This is something that we kind of float in and out of, and that's the 3-step process of actually finding leads. So the best thing that you can do is you can call for sale by owners, because remember what I said, the people that are most likely to do this want the most money for their house, which is a for sale by owner. They don't always need their cash right away, and they're willing to take payments until we can pay them off, right? So we know by calling for sale by owners, they want the most amount of money for the house because they're not with a realtor and they're not willing to pay those fees. At least they don't think they are.
Right.
Interesting thing is, that's a very, very interesting statistic, is 88% of those people go to a realtor because they don't know how difficult it is to sell a house.
Correct. Correct.
So the important thing that you have to understand is that they put an ad out. Peter figured this out. They put an ad somewhere, usually on Zillow or something like that, said, I have this house for sale.
Yep.
Right? Please call me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, how they respond is a different story because a lot of for sale by owners,
They're busy. They have jobs.
they do other things. They're not ready at 10 o'clock in the morning for you to call them and talk for 20 minutes about their house. Okay? Not always. So,
Not always, but I find them generally actually, honey, somebody's on the phone about the house.
Right.
I mean, seriously, you want to sell a house, somebody calls, you're going to go pissed off?
Right.
Honey, somebody's calling. So,
Yeah.
go into the call thinking that, and you'll be on the right track at least.
That's right. And unfortunately, the most amount of calls they get are from realtors because the realtors know that 88% of them are going to convert into a sale. So the realtors teach their new people, call for sale by owners and you'll get listings.
Because they really don't get very many calls from people actually looking to buy the property. Because people looking to buy the property, about 95%, if not higher, don't have time to be sitting there on the internet and, oh gosh, let me look at a for sale by owner thing. Because it doesn't cost a buyer 1 penny to work with a realtor. So why would they not work with a professional realtor?
Right.
So most actual buyers work with realtors.
Right.
And for a lot of other reasons too, but I don't want to.
Well, the big thing is qualification.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think we talked about that in, I don't remember what episode. Maybe Emma can find it for us. The episode where I talked about dealing with the mafia. Oh, here it is here. Battling the Real Estate Mafia, episode number 90. And we talk about that there. So if you want to hear about that, just go to episode number 90. It's called Battling the Real Estate Mafia.
Yep.
Right, and we talk about that a lot.
Hey, what are you talking about? What do you mean the mafia? Hey.
Yeah, here we go.
Right.
So for sale by owners is what we call. They're easy to get. You can go on Google, just type in your city, your county, your state, depending on how many you want and how far out you want to spread your net.
Exactly.
And type in, like we could do our county is New Haven County for sale by owner. You'll probably get Zillow will be the biggest pool in the pond, I guess, or the biggest fish in the pond. Here's what you should do: is you should go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/FSBO script, which is FSBO script, and you can download our script and actually do what we're talking about.
Exactly.
So this is what we call an opening call. The purpose of an opening call is to actually find suspects. And I clarify this because most people think that you're looking for prospects. Well, the next portion of the system is the closing call. Now, the closing call is the person that is talented and has been trained to talk to people about whether they have their house for sale. So really what the opening caller is doing is looking for the little spark in the deal. And then turns it over to the closing caller, and the closing caller has gasoline, and they pour it on the spark. And they see if there's a fire there. So the reason why, and no disrespect for anybody that's doing opening calls, but the reason why we don't want the opening caller to do that is because we don't want to spend the time and the money and the energy to train them. They're usually like virtual assistants or those type of people, which are very valuable to our business, very valuable to anybody's business. But if they don't see the telltale signs, they could lose a deal. So basically, the script that I just told you about, where if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/FSBO script, actually weeds those people out by asking certain questions. Okay? So obviously, one of the questions is, are you willing to receive payments until we can pay you off? Okay? So we're going to talk about those questions in a couple minutes. But to clarify, the first step is the opening call. The second step is the closing call. And then the third step is the deal meeting, which is where you go out, you verify the house, and you check the neighborhood and make sure that this is something you want to buy, and then you do your paperwork. Okay, that's the intention. Now, there's variants of that, but that's the basic system. So basically what happens is you're going to look for low-hanging fruit when you're doing this. So in the beginning, and this is very important because a lot of people miss this, and I have to go back and reiterate it after they're on the phones and after they run into the different things that they have to say. They'll come back, and then I always tell them this, and then they're like, oh yeah, I forgot that part. So in the beginning, here's what's going to happen. You're not going to be trained on how to talk to sellers, which is totally okay. You just got to talk to a lot of sellers to find the low-hanging fruit. Because when you find the low-hanging fruit, it doesn't matter what you say, you'll still do a deal because they're motivated. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Does that
Absolutely.
make sense?
Absolutely.
But if they power through and they go to this, it'll get more and more refined where even people that are not low-hanging fruit.
So
they'll be
that's
able
my
to-
next point is the other way to do it is to get really good at talking to people and knowing what you're doing, which will happen in time. Then you won't have to make as many phone calls. You could take some of those people that are maybe on the edge, or there's some telltales in there that you'll notice, and you'll like travel down that road and make a deal.
Exactly.
Which is my position compared to like your position.
Exactly.
So Naomi is good, okay, and I don't want to
but
discredit
I don't
that at
have
all.
15 years of experience.
Yeah.
So
So
Right.
whereas when we go to our meetups, there's people there that are a lot less good than you are, right? So it goes through this gradient. So you guys, meaning the people at the meetup or yourself, have to make more phone calls and talk to more people to find that low-hanging fruit. In other words, the prospect that is just willing to throw their house at you.
exactly.
Okay, and I have found that it takes about 15 presentations, in other words, in the house, before you actually close the deal when you're new. Okay, so to get 15 presentations, that's a lot of damn phone calls. Okay, that's that's
Yeah.
a lot
So
of phone
if people
calls.
are starting out in this and it's like, oh my gosh, it's not pulling through, just persevere
Yes,
and, just understand the numbers. Don't freak out.
exactly, and it's because the stuff that we're going to talk about from this point forward isn't in. Okay, and I promise you, with everything that I can give you, the only way the stuff that I'm going to talk about and the stuff that I teach you, the stuff that the 100 podcasts have given you, the only way this stuff works is if you get in the houses and start making offers and doing things, and you'll start to realize the things that I'm telling you that seem so simple are very important because you have to experience them yourself before you realize what's going on. Does that make sense?
That's right. How else could it be?
Yeah.
But it's easy to read what should and shouldn't happen, but you have to live through it.
Right.
It's just the truth.
So the best thing that you can do is to get on the phones and make some appointments and go out there and screw it up. Okay? And we're not talking about a lot of money. We're talking about making deals with $100 deposits. So if you screw a deal up, it's not like a renovation deal where you're putting up hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, I was with my accountant yesterday, and I don't even think of this stuff. I was with my accountant yesterday for a couple hours, and it's like he's showing me my books, and I'm like, oh, man. I mean, I've got just debt up the yin-yang. I mean, but when you look at it, it could scare you. I mean, it's big numbers, right? But he looks at me, and he's smiling. I said, what do you think of that? He goes, it's debt. I'm like, oh, really? He goes, what do you think of that? I said, well, I think there's, Kiyosaki taught us there's two types of debt. There's good debt and bad debt. Bad debt is like I pay my car payment and all I get back for it is a ride around in my car.
In an older car with less value,
Yeah.
less value.
Right.
I pay my mortgage payment for one of my, for a rental property, and I get back that money plus.
Mm-hmm.
That's good debt.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes, "Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it." And I'm thinking,
You're an
really?
accountant.
You're a CPA. But he's a good guy. Actually, he's been hounding me lately because I've been spending a lot of time with him trying to figure. I got new software that I'm trying to get for the business, and he's been hounding me lately. Like, how do you do this? So here we go. Because he's looking at the numbers and he's looking at the books, and he's like,
Everybody you go to, the lawyer goes, "I need some of that."
"Yeah,
You go see Tom. He goes, "I need to get into some of that."
Yeah.
you
The
know?
attorneys.
Their jobs aren't that exciting. They're
No.
doing this, and they say like, "You're out there with houses and you're making money."
it's true."
Yeah, and it is true. But they want to like, how do I get in on it?
Yeah, well, they want to do a 500 lap race like in the car, NASCAR, and only do the last 10 laps.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to do the first 490 laps, in
So we
the
let
hot
them-
weather and
Yeah,
sweating.
They just want it to happen like magic.
Yeah,
But we'll let
exactly.
them lend us money.
Yeah, exactly. All right, good. So is that clear? So there's 3 steps.
3 steps.
The first step is calling for sale by owners.
Mm-hmm.
Second step is the closing call. And the third step is the deal meeting. Okay?
Yep.
So that brings me to the highest and best use of your time is to be on the phone as a closing caller, closing deals. So I know there's others, like Ron LeGrand will talk about this, that it takes 5 to 15 minutes. The Wolves will say it takes 5 to 15 minutes to do a closing call. I have found that it takes about 30 minutes. Okay, I think it's between 15 and 30 minutes. What do you think? You
About
do a
30
lot
minutes.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do a majority of them. So I think it's 30 minutes. So the most important 30 minutes every pretty house deal could do is spend 30 minutes doing what?
Closing call.
So what does the closing call do? Why don't you talk about it, because
The
you do it
closing
a lot.
call. The closing call further qualifies them. So with the opening caller, they've shown that spark of interest, but they still have a lot of questions.
Right.
And they still are on the fence a little bit. Most of them. Some of them are like the low-hanging fruit where they're just like, yeah,
Right.
let's go. But most of them are still on the fence.
Right.
So the closing call refines that and lets you know if this is a workable thing or if it's not workable. And ideally to actually work out the numbers, to actually, what are you looking for, and to do some negotiating right then and there, so that when you're going into the house for that meeting, you have an idea of the price that they want and the payments that they're willing to accept
Right. So you get some pre-agreements
before even
you show
going
up.
out there.
Okay.
Exactly.
So we're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. But I think the human body is an amazing thing. It's a
True.
tool that we have created that's amazing. And one of the most amazing things about the human body is it has 2 ears and 1 mouth. So what does that mean?
Listen twice as much as you speak.
Exactly.
Means ears are stereo and
Right.
mouths are mono.
There you go.
Right, like in the closing call, you want to get into their world.
You want to
Like-
hear
like
their
Bill
story.
said, you want to find out what's the motivating factor, find out what the hurt is.
Right.
That's making
You want to
this-
hear their story. You want
Yeah.
to get into their life, because you're always, always safe
in their world.
in their world. So let them talk about their story.
Mm-hmm.
And when they ask the story, when they ask, let me do that again. When you ask the right questions, you will elicit the correct story.
Exactly. They end up making the offer to you.
Exactly. If you do it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that you talk to them the correct way,
Mm-hmm.
and they will tell you what's going on.
Exactly.
Because the only reason why somebody would sell their house, there's 2 of them. There's only 2 reasons why somebody would sell their house. 1, they want the money because they have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2, the house is a problem. Like probate. Mom and dad die. Now we have this house. It's full of stuff. Well, look at the house we're closing on in Clinton, or I'm closing on in Clinton. The guy lives in Kentucky. His sister passes away in April. He's got this house full of stuff. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
The grass is tall. He's trying to get somebody to. He's got one of the ladies that was her friend there, an older lady, trying to hire landscapers to cut the grass and trying to get a dumpster to clean the house out. And he's like, is this a problem for him?
It's a little bit of a problem.
You think a house is an asset for some people, and sometimes it's just a problem.
Right.
I've seen it so many times with you.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I got this nest egg, a golden goose. It's a dead, stinking goose.
Right. And that's what we're looking for when we talk about the spark. When we're on the opening call, that's the spark we're looking for. Like, is this a problem? Or are they just after the cash? And that usually distinguishes. I'm going to tell you, it took me 15 years, and I just figured this out. 15 years to figure this out. What's the difference between a prospect and a suspect? And the main difference is a prospect wants help. A suspect doesn't want help. They think they have other solutions, and they're just testing you to see if you're one of the good ones.
You'll know them very quickly.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a majority of the phone calls you're going to make.
It's a majority of the phone calls.
Right? And they're arrogant and pompous,
So-
and they don't even know it, but they think they have something that everybody wants.
Yeah. My driveway is the longest driveway in the street,
Right.
so that's worth $50,000 more.
Or I just spent.
That's more snow shoveling. Forget it.
I just spent. I mean,
This
I
is
went to my
Connecticut.
sister's house. No offense to my sister, but she just spent $25,000 or $30,000 on a kitchen, and she's really proud of it. And I'm thinking,
Why?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another story, but she can afford to do it, and it's what she wanted.
Yeah.
So God bless.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. And I think that's sometimes the conversation you have to have with these sellers. Like, you did this for yourself.
Right.
The buyer may not like that color even.
Right.
And so, just cut the loss. You did that for yourself. Anyway.
So the most important 30 minutes that you can do in every deal, not just pretty houses, but totally pretty houses, is the closing call. Okay, so if you're not doing that, or you're doing that incorrectly, you got a big gaping hole in your business. It just isn't going to happen. So now, the decision that I need to make in my business is who makes those calls, right? Like, you've been making them, but lately I've been making them. And the reason why is this. I don't have enough lead flow coming in, which is what we're running into, you and I are running into.
Right.
We don't have enough lead flow to have the low-hanging fruit show up at our doorstep.
Right. Not to say that it can't happen.
Totally.
But statistically.
But just the way we have our business, the way I have my business now, because I do other things. I only do this 20 hours a week, right? So the way it's set up is there's not enough lead traffic, so we're hunting for that low-hanging fruit.
Right.
So because I don't have enough lead traffic, that means that I need to be more involved in the deals because of my experience, not because I'm smart or anything, just because of my experience.
Right.
Right. And then when I tend to do more of the closing calls or be involved in the closing calls, we make more deals.
Correct.
And it's just that simple. Okay. So you'll have to make the same decision in your business, just like with you, Peter. We were talking about this the other day. You need more you need to do more deal flows. You need to have more conversations. Either you generate them. Even when we do our yellow letters and our signs, there's not enough inflow to do several houses a month consistently, because the inflow, unless you're doing a lot of letters and a lot of signs, it's not usually enough inflow.
No, and it doesn't even make sense with what we know now to spend that much time and money looking for leads when they're on the internet asking you to call them.
Right.
It's kind of stupid. Like, I have friends that are trying to do this, and like, I sent yellow letters out. Good. Did you call some for sale by owners? No. Right. Why not? They're sitting there telling you, I have a house for sale.
Yeah.
It's like a fish jumps on the shore, and you're going like this. Can you get a picture of that? Like, you're casting, and there's fish are jumping in the boat, and you're throwing them back. They're right there.
Right. And I know for a fact, and I'm gonna just make this statement, and then we're gonna move on, that Naomi and Jesse and I tested one day. One day we sent out 44 texts and got back 27 responses that we didn't do anything with because it freaked us out. It freaked me out because it's like, holy crap, that's a lot of response, right? So soon as I can get a few things done here, that will be my next exploration. To realize is I don't want to dismantle my business that's running already with something new by using resources like Naomi and things that are already working. I want to dismantle that to try something new. Because what will happen is if the new thing doesn't work, then we've dismantled the business.
No.
So it doesn't work.
No, you have to add it on top of everything else. Side project.
Right. So, I can get Jesse to work on that, but it's just a struggle in my mind, and I got so many things going on right now. I think I'm closing on my 6th deal, and we have 2 or 3 more deals we're working on. So,
It's not like we're not doing anything.
Yeah, it just takes time.
Yeah, we're looking for how to streamline it to get more done quicker.
Correct.
And then just keep the flow going. So when these things come around, there's something else to follow up then.
Right.
It all comes down to automation.
Yeah, exactly. So the highest and best use of your time is this 30-minute call. Okay, so let's talk about that. So the next point that we talked about in our description is the exact step of investing that's the most challenging, but yet the hardest to do. That's the script or the scripts. And having many coaching clients, I will tell you, the coaching clients, for example, I have a girl that signed up, and within 30 days, she signed up on April 27th. By the time we got to May 20th, she had 2 deals. And I'm talking about good, healthy deals. Good, $100,000 deals. Okay? And the reason why is because she studied the course, how to buy real estate without a loan. She went in one weekend and she watched all the videos. She printed the scripts. Her and I spoke on the phone about how to use the scripts and what language to use, and just did it. She didn't reinvent it. She didn't ask me why. She just did it. And then once she started doing it, she started getting questions, and she started fine-tuning her own presentation because she started to understand it.
Right.
Because as she does it, it's cause and effect. You ask a question, you get something in return. And now you have actual live experience with why that question does what it does or it doesn't do. And I'm not bragging about how great I am, because I don't feel that way, but I've done thousands and thousands of offers, and I've tested these questions myself based on houses that I actually bought. And that's how this stuff came about, is years worth of asking questions to all different kinds of people. Young, old, all different colors, nationalities. I can't tell you, I can't even fathom how many people I've talked to. I can't even remember them all, right? So these scripts. So the one thing that I did want to do is I wanted to define what a script is, because I think that would help people a lot.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
So the definition that I wrote, this is not in any dictionary. This is my own made-up definition. Having trained a lot of salespeople. I owned a used car lot for 25 years. I've had a lot of salespeople work for me. I was 6 years. I traveled the country 40 weeks a year. I was top sales guy, and I sold. We took them from a $400 product to a $13,000 product that was consulting, which is non-tangible. It's complete. It was the hardest sales job I ever did, and I sold millions and millions of dollars with that stuff. So I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that that's my background. Okay, so I feel like I have a place to speak from when I say these things. Okay. Definition of script. So it's the talking points. That's the magic. It's the talking points, either written out or worked out before you had the conversation. So it has the outcome you want in the end. Okay? So let me do it again. So the definition of a script is the talking points written out or worked out before you had the conversation. So it has the outcome you want in the end. Okay?
Yeah.
Go to a seminar. The guy has a PowerPoint presentation on the board. Everybody thinks the PowerPoint presentation's for the attendees. It is not.
Just keep him on track.
The PowerPoint is there so he knows what to talk about, because it's a script for him.
Exactly.
Okay? So A lot will download the for sale by owner script and they'll try to learn it verbatim, which is fine. That works. Actually, the way the scripts are written, you could, because they're all conversational and colloquial, you could just read them and they would work.
Right.
You tell people, I'm new at this. Let me just read you what my partner and my mentor does. And you could get away with that.
Right.
Especially with the right deals. Now, if it's a suspect, they're a suspect, they're a suspect, they're a suspect.
Yeah,
Whack 'em.
you didn't blow it. They're a suspect.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And can I put a point in? If somebody's a suspect, you're not going to change them. If they're really, really a suspect, you're
Right.
not going to change. You can't convince them. You're not there to argue with them and convince them this is a great deal and you should listen to me. No, forget it.
Right.
Just walk away and call the next guy. You will find one.
Right.
And it's amazing the difference.
Right.
Just
Yes.
find one. This is fishing.
Right. Totally.
If you get a boot, throw it back.
Right.
It's a boot.
Exactly.
Jesus.
That's good, Peter.
Do you
I
know
like
a
that.
boot from a goddamn fish?
Yes. There you go. Okay. So
This is a boot. This is a fish.
Good
This is a
analogy.
prospect. This is a suspect.
I'm going to just
I think in
kinda-
cartoons, by the way, if you didn't notice.
thinking cartoons. I'm going to just kind of rattle through a few things that are on our scripts. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Go through.
So, for example, the FISBO script, it says, "Hi, my name is Bill." You should use your own name. "I'm calling to see if you're open to a terms purchase for the house you have for sale." Now, that's Naomi's language. I didn't make that up. That's Naomi's language. The terms purchase. Actually, we did
Right.
it together.
Right.
Right? But we were looking for something that would catch their attention because normally what happens is the realtor will call and say, "Is your house still for sale?"
And so they think you're a realtor.
Right.
And so it's almost like you need to cut through the chase. The other thing, too, that we discussed is there is some verbiage that starts asking about the house, like how many bedrooms does it have, how
Right.
many. And so you're using 45 minutes of your time because they're going to tell you. They're going to be very enthusiastic.
They're
and,
selling the house.
and, oh, it's got this and it's got that and it's got, on and on and on. They drone and you don't even know if they're open to terms yet.
Right.
So you've just wasted 45 minutes of your time
And
with
you don't,
somebody
and
that
you don't know if they
don't
have a
even
spark.
know.
You don't even know if there's a spark.
Right, so it just cuts through the chase. The question is
So
designed
the
for them to
Interesting thing about the question is it says, "I'm calling to see if you're open to a terms purchase for the house for sale, the house
Right.
you have for sale." It automatically triggers this question.
what's a terms purchase?
Basically, what happens is you sell your house now without fees, as is, for a fair price, and on the date of your choice, and we actually make payments so you can cover your expenses until we can get you paid in full so you can move on with your life. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds good. I feel like I need more information, but that sounds good.
See what happened? We took them and put them right into the conversation. So let's go back to
Right.
the definition of a script, right? Is the talking points written out or worked out before you have the conversation. So the outcome is the way you want it to be. So what did we want when we called them? We wanted to have a conversation with them about them selling their house, and the script guided us to do that.
Exactly.
So now the next one. Here's another one. This is beautiful. This, by the way, is a Brian Wolf sentence. Okay? And it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. I've done a lot of calls, and this sentence is absolutely one of my favorite. So they'll say, "Are you interested?" Okay. So we're definitely interested in your house. That's not the sentence, right? We're definitely interested in your house or buying your house. You say that, okay? Here's the sentence. A lot of times it works out best by doing something with financing. Do you have a mortgage?
Yes.
So you're right into the conversation with, okay, how much do you owe?
But it works out best.
Yeah.
That's almost hypnotic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It works out best.
So
Compared to
like I
what?
said, Brian Wolf
Best.
created that, and I don't want to take credit for it, but we use it, and it works amazingly, right? So a lot of times it works out best by doing something with the financing. You have a mortgage, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. How much do you owe?
200,000.
Oh, good. And what are the monthly payments?
Monthly payments are 1,500.
And does that include the taxes and insurance?
It does, yes.
Did you have any other payments on the property?
Nope.
How long did that take?
Boom.
And now, what do we know? How much they owe.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
now
the
we
monthly
take
payments.
and the monthly payments, and we take that number and we divide it into what they're asking, and we have the loan to value ratio, and we know which one of the 7 deals that I teach you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that's too difficult for you, I don't know how to make it any simpler, because that's the simplicity of it. But that's because the script is amazing. Okay? It's been tested and proven. Right? So now, suppose I were to say to you, Naomi, well, here's another one. This is another favorite one, and then we're going to move on. Okay? So I realize the difference between what you owe and what you're asking is less than $35,000. Okay?
Yes.
I'm going to say to you, will you sell your house for what you owe on it?
Sure.
What did I just do? I just got myself a getting the deed deal.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I opened that avenue.
Right.
At that particular point, you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to pass the lead to who's doing the closing call by saying, I need to have my boss call you, have my partner call you, or whatever, and do a second phone call. Or if you're the person doing the calls yourself, then you just need to stop doing the FSBO script and start doing the closing call script.
Right. Right.
Either way. Okay? So if you said no, let's just cover that, and then we're going to go on to the closing script. So let's say you said no. So I say to you, okay, Naomi, would you sell me the house for what you owe on it?
No, I'd want to make some money.
Okay, would you consider a lease purchase instead?
What's a lease purchase?
See? It's magical. And if you think that we're role-playing and we're making this up, do a few for sale by owner calls, and this is how it's going to go.
What else are they going to say?
Right.
Yeah.
And if they say no, that you don't want to talk to that person anyways.
Right. So you shouldn't change these words. You shouldn't do anything. You should just use them. And if you don't have them ingrained in your mind, then your 30 minutes isn't going to turn out too good.
Get a chair, sit
It's
in
gonna
front
be
of
an hour.
a teddy bear, and just read that over and over and over again. Practice.
So let's go back to, so I say to Naomi, will you sell your house for what you owe on it? Right? And she says yes.
Yes.
Okay? I'm going to pick some, well, it may not go that easy. But so let's say you're like, I don't know, I might consider it. Let's talk about it. Okay? So there are some scripts here that you can use. Actually, if you said yes, or you would think about it, I would just make an appointment.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
there is no more script after that.
Just move forward.
Right. So,
You can always ask, well, what do you need to think about?
right. So, this is not in a script. It will be soon in the course. Which, by the way, all these scripts are in How to Buy Real Estate Without a Loan, and you can find that at Flipping Houses for Rookies / Buy Without a Loan. Or just go to Flipping Houses for Rookies, and you can find all the scripts are there. All the paperwork is there. The lease options are there. I have videos that show you how to use all this stuff. And we actually show you how to sell a house. Because there's a whole, we don't talk about that a lot, but there's a whole process on how to sell a house. Okay? The last script I'm going to cover, because we need to move on. The last script I'm going to cover is this script. So I'm going to do it with you again. Actually, I'm going to do it with Peter this time. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
So here we go.
Take
Peter.
a break, Naomi.
So, Peter, it looks like I can buy your house, but the only way I can buy it is to take over your debt. That means the loan will stay in your name, but I will make payments on it, and when you and I agree to start, and sooner or later it'll get paid off. Will this keep you awake at night?
A little bit.
Okay. So what did we just find out?
He's got some reservations.
I didn't
It's a
say no.
suspect.
Well, it's interesting the way you put that. You're assuming he would do it because he probably said yes from the opening call script.
Right.
And you're not asking, will you or won't you? You're just asking, here's how it works. Will it keep you awake? So,
Right.
assuming, we're kind of going to do this, what do I need to help you with to calm you down and
Right.
just answer questions?
So why don't you just say, yes, it'll keep me awake at night? Okay, so let me do it again. So, Peter, it looks like I can buy your house, but the only way I can buy it is to take over your debt. That means the loan will stay in your name, but I will make payments on it, and payments on what we agree on and when we start.
Yeah.
And sooner or later it'll get paid off. Will that keep you awake at night?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd be worried about that because it's my mortgage, and I don't know you're going to pay it.
Okay, good. So if that's the case, would you consider a lease to own instead?
How's that work?
See? That's exactly my point, because it
Pretty
happens
smooth.
that way.
Ladies
every
and
time.
gentlemen, no script.
You use their fears to help.
The point is that the name of the show is, and I don't know anybody that does this. I mean, most gurus will say would hide these behind a course. I mean, we're just using them for free. I mean, this took me years and years and years to figure out. Okay, thousands of offers. Okay, so I'm giving it to you because I really want people to buy houses. I want people to succeed because it's so hard. And especially scripts, because that's what we're talking about, is scripts. They're the most challenging part to do.
But imagine not having a script.
No, I can't. And that's why it takes more than 30 minutes to close a deal. And that's why people are not closing deals. Even Naomi, not to pick on, even you, even me, when I don't do a script, because it happens.
Yeah, it's funny.
I'll tell you that. I'll be like, I went off script.
Yeah.
Or I didn't use the presentation pack.
Yeah.
Or we should have done this. How many times I've told you that? We should have done this. We went off our regular system. We went off the system.
Yeah.
But again, those are usually almost, actually, like always with deliberators.
Yeah.
Where you go off the script, because you can mess up so bad, and if it's the right, if it's the right person, the low-hanging fruit. It's almost like no matter how badly you mess up with.
So let's go back to that, because that's what we said at the beginning of the show. Excuse me. Until you get these scripts down, you just need to make a lot of phone calls and find the low-hanging fruit.
Right.
And then as you practice and get better and better at these scripts, you'll need to do less and less phone calls. Okay? So just realize that's the way it is. Okay?
Now, a little help to get started. Some people are a little shy on the phone. So practice on your dog, practice on your wife, call your grandmother. And then if that doesn't, then when you get that down, call people 5 states away just to practice. They're for sale by owners. If they say yes, just say thank you. I'll call you back, and call somebody back in your own hometown. I'm serious. Yeah. When I first did this, I just called some people on for sale by owners just to practice.
And we
out of the blue. We weren't even doing for sale by owners at the time. I just thought it'd be a way to practice, and I had an appointment. Blew his mind.
Yep.
So I just followed the script that we had at the time. So just practice, and it's okay to waste them.
I just get confused about the fear to even call somebody that's asking you to call them.
Right.
That confuses me. Why people?
Naomi, some people won't call for pizza. You call. Come on, people won't call for pizza. Now, if it's that bad, text people.
Yeah, maybe at least text people.
And then when they call,
script.
when they call, use the script, and when they call back, then talk to them. At least
then
they
you
called
already
you.
have- yeah, exactly.
That makes some people feel better.
Right.
Well, they called me. I hate to call them. Okay, fine. Text them.
Right.
I talk to you about buying your house. When's a good time? Whatever you want to say. Anything at all, they'll call back.
Right.
Call me at 6, and then you'll feel better. If you don't call that, you're in the wrong business.
Right.
Get a hammer. Get a saw. Start painting.
All right, good. So
Be in the real estate business.
the script I just read you is the precise moment to make or break the deal. Do you agree?
Correct.
Let's do it again. So the script is,
Now, you say there's a new part to that?
this is not written anywhere.
Okay.
The only place this is written is on this piece of paper sitting
Okay.
in front of us.
Okay.
I need to add it to my
The
script.
pieces sounded familiar, but you just put it together.
It's because it's what I say often.
Yeah.
I mean, when I read it, it doesn't sound like that, but that's
Okay.
what you can say, and it will soon be in the script in the course.
Can I hear it again?
Yep. So, Pete, it looks like I can buy your house, but the only way I can buy it is to take over your debt. That means the loan will stay in your name, and I'll start making payments on it when we agree to start.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
And sooner or later, it'll get paid off. Will that keep you awake at night?
Yeah. Sooner or later, you make my payments. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with that.
So would you consider a lease purchase?
How does that work?
Yeah. And then you go into that script. There's a script in the course that talks about lease purchase. Right? Sell, lease, option, closing script.
Some great verbiage.
Yeah.
No, that's great when you have a few different options and you go down one avenue. If the person doesn't like it, you can go to the other avenue.
Right.
Now, if they don't like that, you go, well, let's talk about the other one again. Let me explain that a little bit more.
Right.
Why? Well, it's what worries you about that? Well, let me explain. Doesn't? Oh, okay, that would be all right then.
Right.
I mean, you can go back and forth
Yeah,
until
it
you
just
find
could be
something
a
that
lack
works.
of education.
They've got to do something.
Yeah.
The point that I'm making here is that it's a precise moment that could make or break the deal.
Yeah, right there.
It's right there. And
Yeah.
that's done on the 30-minute closing call.
Sure.
So the closing caller has to be skilled enough to say that paragraph and find out where they're at. In my own slang on Bill's Planet, it's called taking their temperature. Where are they at? And the other saying that I say a lot, Naomi's heard this 1,000 times, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 I'm buying your house, where are you at? And it tells me, well, I'm at a 5, so I got some more, or I'm at an 8 or a 9. That's the most common one.
Oh.
8 or 9. Right? Or I'm at a 3. At least it tells you where they're at.
Yeah, well, you use that at the end when you're pretty much done with the presentation, just to see where you wound up. You don't say it in the beginning, at the end, and it should be 8 or 9.
Because
And if
most
it's a 3,
people,
wow.
because most people will tell you what they think you want them to hear. Most people will tell you what they think you want them to hear. And this cuts through all that. It cuts through, like, are they just being polite? Or do they really want to do it?
So when they say 8, what do you do?
I give them, I always leave, and Naomi knows this, and well, you do too, because you've been with me, but I always give them the next 3 steps, and we move on.
Because by that time, you've exhausted all the offers, scripts, options.
We know what to do.
Yeah, you're just seeing where they are after it's all finished. There's not much more to
Well, you
say.
could do it anytime you want, like, but you just got to be cautious when you use it.
Yeah.
Okay, but the point is that there's no better time that you can spend than the 30 minutes doing the closing call. So everything else could be automated, and that is the part where the training comes in. And the training basically these days are scripts. So it's how fast can you learn those scripts and use them is how fast you can actually have a real estate investing business that is extremely successful. Make sense?
Absolutely. Amen.
So the next thing is, why is this 30 minutes called the linchpin of the pretty house business? I think I've already answered that, haven't I?
I think you have. About 3 or 5 times.
Well, everything hangs on that. I mean,
Right.
anybody can kind of do some opening calls. Anybody can go in a house and fumble around. But you're setting everything up in that closing call, so when you get to the house, you're not fumbling around or trying to do it then and wasting your time. It's ready to go, and you're just finalizing what you already talked about on the phone.
That's right.
And
It's
save
a
the half an
fork
hour
in the
drive,
road,
an
so
hour
you know which
drive.
way to travel.
Right.
And it's the fork in the road is, okay, they're really a suspect.
Yeah.
Or I think I got a shot at doing this deal, and you make a decision. Sometimes we go out to deals, like I know you and I have quite a bit. We go out to deals. I'll give you an example. I did a call last Thursday. The lady's an hour away, hour and 10 minutes away. She's in Oakville, Connecticut, right? I didn't even know where it was, okay? So I set up an appointment with her. This is on Thursday afternoon I talked to her. I set up an appointment with her on Saturday, okay? I drive out there, okay?
Yes, you do.
I make a mistake because I don't call her to confirm that she's going to be there.
Oh, man.
She doesn't show up. Not only does she not show up, but it's pouring rain because some rainstorm came through. Somebody shows up. I'm supposed to meet her at 12:30. At 1:45, somebody drives in the driveway. Some lady sits in her car. She's just sitting there. I'm like, wondering what she's doing. And then another car pulled up. Now, I've had this happen to me before where I have a lady that's meeting me. Her husband's living out of state. That's why they're selling. And she's got a couple kids. And she's probably nervous about being in a house by myself. So she has a friend come there to be with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had that happen, right? Because it's a woman, right?
Yeah.
A woman and a guy. And I get it, right? So I'm thinking, well, she probably has somebody coming to meet her. I run up because it's pouring rain. I run up on the front steps because it's a porch, full blown porch, and she says, "Oh, who are you?" I'm like, "I'm Bill from Homes R Us." She goes, "Oh," and she puts her hands out and tells me she's the realtor. showing the house to somebody else.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. And I left and went and sat in my car for another 15 minutes waiting for her to show up. She didn't show up. So now normally what would happen? I know I was pissed because I spent 2.5 hours of my time. I rearranged my entire Saturday to have this appointment
Right.
because when I was on the phone with her, I asked her, would she sell the house for what she owes on it? And she said she's asking $269, has a $1,500 a month payment, principal interest, so it's a
Right.
perfect payment. And she owes $211. So I'm like, this is a good deal. I can turn this into something. And it's a pretty house. She says it needs no work. And it doesn't. It's a gorgeous house.
Right.
Okay. So normally I was pissed, right? I was pissed at myself for not confirming that morning. And I
Right.
spent 2.5 hours of my day, which thankfully was good because I did some coaching calls and I used my time effectively. But so I'm thinking, well, I call her Monday and kind of give her hell. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to let it rest. Well, sure as shit, yesterday I got a voicemail. I'm sorry. I forgot, which is bullshit. My husband is coming into town and we want to sit down and talk to you about what you were telling me on the phone the other day. That's the message. And I'm going to tell you what I think happened. The husband's in a different town, a different state. The kids were in school. School gets out in June.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to pick the kids up and go live with the husband. She doesn't want to be here by herself. And there is no other solution. And the realtors keep bringing her deals and they can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So she had this person there on Saturday, and it didn't. The offer, she probably between Thursday and Saturday, the realtor called and said, "I got somebody who wants to look at the house. He's pretty hot." So she blew me off, thinking
Right.
that she can get all her cash now,
Right.
right? And it didn't happen. So now she's back, trolling, looking
Yeah.
for me, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
So the question is, what do? You know as well as I do, 34% or 35% of our deals come from follow-up. Right. So what do? I'm going to call her back today, and I'm going to make an appointment, and I'm going to give her a little bit of hell, like I wasted 2.5 hours of my time, right? And now,
Now you guys come see me.
no,
Bring the house to me.
no,
Yeah, that's right.
no. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen because before I was thinking maybe I'll give her $5,000 walk-in money. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to buy the house for $211. I'm not giving her shit
Mm-hmm.
because it cost her $5,000 for me to go out there for my 2.5 hours worth of time, and that's how I look at it. And I'm saying that here. Normally I wouldn't say something like that because I'm
Right.
not vengeful like that, but I'm like, you want to take 2.5 hours of my time? It just cost you $5,000.
Right.
So I'll go do the deal, but now it's going to be on my terms. Otherwise, I'll walk away.
Yeah.
And why can I do that? Because I have enough deal traffic that I don't have to have a
Right. And
scarcity
what's to
mentality.
say that you can't have a conference call with you, her husband?
I want to see the inside of the house. I didn't see the inside of the house. I'll
Yeah.
go back out there, but it's just going to be be a
Mhm.
little bit more tighter now.
Yeah.
I'll call beforehand. I'll confirm it. I'll do all those things. But the point is it's a deal.
Yeah.
So I can't afford to get an attitude about her misbehavior.
Yeah.
She's stressed.
Yeah.
So weird things happen. All right, last thing I want to cover, and then we're going to get out of here. Okay. So I have covered why this 30 minutes is the linchpin of the business. You said I've covered that like 5 or 7 times. Is that correct,
3
Peter?
or 5 times.
Yes, sir.
3 to 5 times.
Yes, sir. We
Okay,
might
good.
get it. A couple more times, you might get it.
The last
We got
thing I
it.
want to cover is the 3 steps to do that have been tested and proven. Okay? And these aren't really steps. It's just a natural thing, but I'm going to clarify them.
Uh-huh.
Number 1, you make friends with your buyer. I'm
Oh.
sorry, with your seller.
There's
You
things to do at what point? All the way along?
All the way.
Okay.
You do it with your buyer too, but when you're buying a house, you make friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean like you just be polite and you get, like we said, this is an easier way of saying if you get in their world, you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
If you let them talk about them, you're safe. So making friends is letting them talk. So you ask the right questions and let them talk.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, present the benefits. So the offer is all about what? Benefits to them.
Mm.
So you present the benefits. And number 3, you ask for the sale. Now, that's a whole show by itself, those 3 things.
Which we'll be doing next week.
I don't know.
I want to hear it next week.
The point that I'm trying to make is I have trained a lot of people in several different industries, especially in real estate. It is dumbfounding to me, absolutely dumbfounding, how people don't ask for the sale. I mean, just watch TV and watch a commercial, a car commercial like Chrysler. They don't ask for the sale. There is no call to action.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, watch any commercial. I dare you to do this as a challenge. Okay?
Yeah.
Watch any commercial and find a call to action that's clear.
Like, buy this.
Right. Or go here to this website to get it, or find it at Walmart. There are some that do it.
Facebook is way better at that.
Yeah.
Click here, click there,
Right.
click here, click now.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Order.
So my point is you make friends, you present the benefits in the offer. You know, when you present the offer, you make sure there's plenty of benefits, and then you ask for the sale.
Call to action.
Call to action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So I didn't announce this at the beginning of the show. We should have, but we're looking to get reviews on our podcast. We've changed them significantly. I think we have. We're much more precise, and we're working on making sure we give a lot of value.
Oh, hell, that was extremely informative. Jesus.
Yes. I think so. So what I'm going to do is the first 3 people that go to iTunes, and if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/podcast, you can find the iTunes button there. All of our podcasts are there. Or just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, and they're there too. But you can find the button that says iTunes, and if you give us a review, it doesn't even have to be a good review. Just give us a review. I prefer it be good, but
Please.
just give us a review, okay? I will give the first 3 people that can prove to me that they gave a review, which means I prefer a picture of it so I can see it and not go look for it. The first 3 people that do that, I will give them 50% off of my how to buy real estate without a loan course.
Oh, wow.
So that means I'm paying $250 for you to go give me a review. The first 3 people.
I don't think you can say it like that.
I just did.
I will pay you.
It's
And you can say
Yeah. And I'm not saying it has to be good or bad. I'm just saying that the first 3 people that give us a review, I'll give them 50. You have to email us because Emma's going to have to go into the back of the system and actually give you a link and email it to you so you can buy the course for $250. You get 50% off.
That's a deal.
Okay. So let's wrap it up. The description was the most important 30 minutes of every pretty house deal you do. What easily learned task can make you thousands of dollars an hour in the real estate investing industry? In this podcast, you will reveal 1, what is the highest and best use of your time as an investor? 2, the exact step of investing that is the most challenging yet the most rewarding. 3, the precise moment to make or break a deal. 4, why this 30 minutes is called the linchpin of the pretty house business. And number 4, the 3 steps to do that have been tested and proven to close deals.
Nice.
Have we delivered?
We've definitely delivered.
Have we delivered exchange in abundance.
On show 100.
We want to hear from you all, though, that we delivered.
And we want to exactly hear from you. That's exactly right.
Exactly.
Go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. If you have any feedback, there's I get all the support
Feedback
tickets.
is great.
Let us know if you have suggestions for shows or what you want us to talk about or topics. We will cover them. Just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, the contact section. If you want to give us a review, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/podcast, and the iTunes button is there. The first 3 people that give us a review, good or bad, and send me an email with evidence, which means a picture of some sort, so that I can see it, I will give you the how to buy real estate without a loan course, 50% discount, and a private email with a link. Okay?
All right.
Fair enough?
Don't be
everything?
Don't be number 4.
Don't be number 4. Over and out. We'll see you next week.
Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.